Hello, I'm Mark Price. I'd like to talk to you today about the joy from within that comes from above. There was a fellow, an usher at a church, back when we had ushers at churches, and a woman comes to the back door and he meets her and asks where she'd like to sit, and she said, "I would like to sit in the front row." And the usher says to her, "Ma'am, no, I don't think you do. You see, our pastor is very boring, and you don't want to fall asleep, embarrass yourself, so let me find another seat for you." And the woman said, "Son, do you know who I am?" And the man said, "No." She said, "I am the mother of your pastor." And the usher looked at her and said, "Well, ma'am, do you know who I am?" And the woman said, "No." And he said, "Thank God." Again, talking about the joy from within. The gospel today is from the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verses 20 through 23. Jesus said to his disciples, "Amen, amen, I say to you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will become joy. When a woman is in labor, she is in anguish because her hour has arrived. But when she has given birth to a child, she no longer remembers the pain because of her joy, that a child has been born into the world. So you also are now in anguish, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy away from you. On that day, you will not question me about anything. Amen, amen, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you." The Gospel of the Lord. Whenever I think of joy, I'm reminded of two songs. One from an old camp song, "I got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart to stay." Now you know why my daughter won't let me sing. But the other one is this beautiful poem by Henry Van Dyke. "Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, praising thee, their Son above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day." Well, I have been through a lot in my life, just as you have. This pandemic has not been easy on any of us, and I have tried to always find joy. I've been through, in the recent years, problems, troubles, health issues, massive heart attacks back in 2009, a series of very bad strokes, the worst one in 2015. I've had to reteach myself to speak, how to eat and drink without drooling, how to use the left side of my body. A lot of work over the last 5 years. And the one thing that has sustained me is the joy. The faith that I have that brings that joy deep inside. The joy within that comes from above. People would say to me, "Mark, you've been through a lot. You've got all these things that you've had hit you, and you've lost everything as a result of all of it. And yet you still smile, you're still positive, you still have joy." And I said, "Because I still have Jesus." Francis of Assisi used to walk around filled with this excitement, this joy, and people would always ask him, "How are you so filled with joy?" And he says, "Because I'm filled with Jesus." And Francis had his share of issues and problems. He had malaria from the time he was about 18 or 19 years of age. He had leprosy that he picked up from giving mercy and serving the people, the lepers who were in his area. He had, in many cases, malnutrition, which caused him problems. He had he's the first person in history to have the stigmata, the holes from Jesus, that Jesus experienced on the cross in his hands and his feet. And that was very, very painful. And then also, for the last few years of his life, he had severe pain in his eyes. Severe pain. They had no idea where it was coming from. It was so bad that in the last couple of years of his life, he couldn't be in light. The light itself caused him such problems and such horrendous pain. And his brothers said to him, "We have to help you." So they brought in a physician, and they cauterized from his eye to his jaw on both sides, thinking that would release the pain. And of course it did not. And then they said that didn't work, so let's try something else. So they pierced both of his eardrums. And of course that didn't work. It made him, deaf and blind. But he is a guy that no matter what the world gave to him, he was filled with joy. And that's a lesson that I've learned. As a person of faith, I learned that one of the side benefits is you have this joy that comes with it. This joy that allows you to see the brighter side of things. The brighter side, because we know that there is a new day dawning. There is something in store for us that's coming for us. Yesterday was the Feast of the Ascension, so I gave myself my own little ascension. I left quarantine, I rose out of quarantine, out of the shutdown, to go to a secluded beach and walk. I just needed exercise. I've gained too much weight while on quarantine, and I just have never been a person that does well sitting around. And so I needed to get out. I went out, I was safe, I was making sure I wouldn't infect anybody or nobody would infect me. But I have been very, very good at trying to adhere to this quarantine. After all, my doctors tell me I'm in that, and my daughter tells me, I'm in that group where it's dangerous. I'm in my 60s, I have heart disease, I've had heart attacks, I've had strokes. So I'm the kind of person that wants to make sure they don't get it. So I've been very, very good at staying away from people and staying away from things that might give me the disease. Been very, very careful. But I've had a joy through it all, and it's that joy that I've had deep down that gives me a way to sustain, a way to rise above how tough it can be sometimes. There's something I want to do really quickly. Behind me are these paintings. They're done by an art gallery here in Mexico called Puerto Nuevo Gallery. And these are not paintings. These are made with straw, all straw. It's an art form that was designed or devised by the Aztecs, the ancient Aztecs. And this art gallery does art in that form of the Aztecs. So these are made 100% from straw. And they have my next one ready, which is St. Luke. And I'm anxious to get it. But because of the pandemic and not wanting to meet with people, I haven't been able to get it. But there's a joy in my heart that it's an anticipated joy of getting that next piece of art from this gallery. So as we are people of faith, one thing that the scriptures tell us, and today Jesus says a woman has pain when she's giving birth, but after giving birth, she almost forgets the pain because of the joy of this new child. That level of joy comes only when we have love, real love. And it's that love that we have, that joy that we have when we have a relationship with God through Christ. So I want to encourage you in your joy, and I want to encourage you to embrace your walk of faith and be open to whatever God sends your way, because there is a new day dawning. This is Mark Price. Thanks for listening.